Hello everyone, how are you all? Today we are going to start a new poem. The name of the poem is A Legend of the Northland. This poem was written by Phoebe Cary. This poem was written in a ballad form. Do you know what's a ballad? A ballad is a narrative poem explained in a simple stanzas. So here we can check what is there in this poem, the story of this poem. In this poem, we can check how a greedy woman was cursed by Saint Peter. So, shall we go to the poem? Okay, we'll get the more explanations about the poem, what is ballad, each and everything we'll do in the video. So, let's watch the video. A Legend of the Northland. It was written by Phoebe Cary. She was born on September 4, 1824. She was an American poet and she was champion of women's rights. And finally, she died on July 31st, 1871. A Legend of the Northland is a traditional story written in style of a ballad. It narrates the legend of how Saint Peter had once cursed an old lady for being greedy and selfish. The poem imparts the important lesson that greed always gets punished. What is actually a ballad? A ballad is a narrative poem written in short stanzas, usually quatrains. Quatrains means 4 lines, relating a simple incident in a form suitable for singing or rhythmical chanting. A ballad is a part of folklore. This poem fits well into the category of a ballad because it is composed in simple language with 4 line stanzas and has an important moral lesson to convey through an old story. The poem comprises of 16 stanzas, 4 lines each. So we will go to the poem. Let's check it. First 8 lines. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. So let's check the poem. So this poem was happening in the Northland, somewhere in the polar region. So what is specialty of there? The nights are so long in winter there. So what happens then? Then hours of the day will be very few, so that they cannot sleep them through. Then when it snows there, what they will do? Where they harness the swift reindeer for to the sleds. You can see in the picture. So the children will wear that furry clothes. So they are looking like bears, cubs, woolen furry clothes they are wearing because of snow. So lines 9 to 16. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it is true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, preaching means a religious talk, religious teaching. So it's a curious story. The parents will tell the children a curious story there. I don't believe it is true, but if I tell the story to you, then you will learn a lesson from that. If I tell that story to you, you will learn a lesson. So the good Saint Peter is one of the 12 apostles of the Jesus Christ. So what he was living in the below, and he was preaching and he was teaching the world. As usual, he was teaching the world. He walked about, it means he came to the Northland. Line 17 to 24. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Hearth means a fireplace. Good And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him single one. He came, that Saint Peter came to the door of a cottage while he was traveling around there. So there were a little woman who was making cakes and baking in the fireplace. So that day was almost done. That means it's almost evening. So he was walking and without eating anything, he was fainting, almost fainting without eating anything, with fasting, without eating anything. So he requested her to give him a single piece of cake from a lot of cake. She has a lot of cakes from one that a single piece of cake, 25 to 32. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. So what happened there? She made very little cake. She was greedy, so she made very little cake. When she kept it for baking, it seemed too large to give away. She thought it is too large to give as charity, freely giving. So then what happened there? She's greedy and she doesn't like it. So she needed another one. She needed another one, still a smaller one. When she turned it over, then it looked as large as the first had done. That means again she made another small one, but it also become larger one. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. But she couldn't part with that. For she said, my cakes that seems too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. So what happened there? She took very small amount of dough and what she did is she rolled and rolled it, made it very flat. It is thin as a wafer, thin as a wafer. If she want to make a cake, but it may become that as that much thin. She doesn't like to give it away. So she thought, what she said to herself, what she said, my cakes are seems too small, but when I eat myself, it is very small, so that I don't give it away. She put it on the shelf. She kept that case in the shelf. She said, it is very small for me when I am eating, but when I am giving it to somebody, it is too big. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. So Saint Peter was a cool person, but this lady made him angry, provoked him. So that what he said, she made him angry. He was very angry because he was faint, hungry and faint. So he become angry and he pronounced a case upon her. He want to pronounce a case. What is the case there? He said, you are too selfish. You are too selfish to dwell in a human form. You should not live in human form. Dwell means live. To have both food and shelter, as the God gives you, fire to keep you warm. Everything is there. God gives everything to you. So you should not live in this form because you are not such a good lady. So we can check lines 49 to 56. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food, but boring all day in the hard dry wood. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Now he pronounced the curse upon her. What is the curse? So you should build as birds do. You should build houses like birds do. You should search for the scanty food, very low food, boring, and all day hard. You should try in the dry wood. You should search for the small amount the food that you are getting. Then she went up through the chimney. Then never speaking a word. She didn't get a chance to speak a word. Get out of the top flew a woodpecker. She became a woodpecker. She changed into a bird. What is a word? Woodpecker. She became a woodpecker. woodpecker. So the saint cursed him and he became. So she lost. She doesn't have the human values of kindness and charity. So that she became a woodpecker. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. So she was wearing a scarlet cap on her head. So that scarlet cap remained same on the woodpecker's head. But rest of all things, that plume, as the plume it became, you can see rest of the all the clothes burned in that chimney. It became black as a coal in the flame. Then you can see woodpecker. Every country means here the village. Country schoolboy, village schoolboys, everyone seen that woodpecker is boring on the wood to get a small amount of food. Every time she lives in the tree and it is searching for the food each and every time, boring for the food. You can see in this picture, in that video, the woodpecker is pecking. So now check the literary devices. So first one is alliteration. Do you know what is meant by an alliteration? So what is an alliteration? It is the repetition of vowel sounds or consonant sounds at the beginning of the words. So beginning, the letter is repeating. So which are the examples? In their funny furry clothes, the F sound is repeating. I tell the tale to you, the T sound is repeating there. Tell the tale to you, T sound is repeating. And one more thing is, and being faint with fasting, then and still a smaller one, S sound, and that L sound also repeating there, double S. So these are the, okay, one more is there. Then she took a tiny scrap, T sound is repeating in that. My cakes that seems too small, cakes seem too small. So these are the alteration. Now we can check the repetition. What is repetition? Repetitions of words or phrases to lay emphasis or communicate a message. So we can check what is repeated there. First one, away in the Northland, which shows that far, away. Use that the distant, how distant the place is, far away. Then and rolled and rolled it flat, rolled and rolled. The lady rolled the dough many times to make it as flat and thin as a wafer. So that is a repetition there. Now we can check another one, the by boring and boring. This means the hard effort that the woman turned woodpecker has to make to find its food. The woman woodpecker is doing that work, that is hard. Now we can check the enjambment. What is enjambment? When one line moves to the next without using any kind of punctuation mark in between. So that is enjambment. When one line to move to another line without any punctuation mark, that is enjambment. And the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. Here the line is winter, after that there is no punctuation mark, it is going to the next line. And the children look like bears cubs in their funny furry clothes. This also moving to the second line without any punctuation mark. So we can check the next example of enjambment. That 3 lines. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So in this also, first line is moving to the second line. Now we can check the simile. When we can compare two different things using the words like or as. It is called a simile. You can see the example there. Thin as a wafer. Thin as a wafer is there. So you can see the cake, how much big is that, then wafer, how much thin is that. So thin as a wafer is comparing two things with the word of as or like. Another example is that, what is that? Okay, thin as wafer, greed and stinginess. That's here, it is because of the greed and stinginess of that lady, it is changed to that small one. As black as coal, Here it is saying that one, the color. So we can check the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme is ballad with 4-line stanza, and this Each stanza follows a pattern. It is A B C B. So this all for the today's lesson. So thank you for watching the video, and if you have any doubts you can drop it in my WhatsApp number or you can ask it in the group itself. Okay, thank you, take care, bye.